first year was devastating.
Worrying about my 3 younger siblings. Our life just got turned upside down.
Too much pain to open up any of those boxes. And so
I tried to comfort her, but she just said, I want my mom.
Welcome to the Living Louder podcast. My name is Portia Louder, and I will be talking with my oldest daughter, Shelby, today. And Shelby's amazing. I think all my kids are. Probably everyone does, but she's going to be sharing what it was like to have her mom go to prison and some of the other challenges that she had to face, which can be hard to talk about for me because I love my kids, but it's also part of the journey and what brings us to this point. So thanks for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
You didn't know that you'd be filming. You thought you were actually going to be behind the camera today. I called you last night and said, Shel, come over, help me with the podcast. And you thought you didn't know you'd be a guest. So.
Yeah.
So your experience, I want to go back a little bit. I had Jace when I was 18 years old and then you when I was 21 years old. And obviously you don't remember when you were born, but your younger years, we lived with my parents and kind of shaped your life, right? Mm-hmm. I struggled with addiction and Grandma and Grandpa were a big part of your life. Do you remember any of those years and kind of what that was like?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I remember living in their basement. You worked, you did photography, and just playing in their backyard all the time. And people were kind of always in and out. And I had, my aunts watching me, Grandma and Grandpa watching me all the time. So I have a lot of memories at that house, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember when I started dating Chad or when I married Chad?
I don't remember a ton about the date you specifically dating him. I remember when you were single, like when we lived in Grandma's basement. And then I do remember like your wedding day and then the earlier years in the house that we moved in right after.
Okay.
In that other basement in Sandy.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have a lot of memories.
So I struggled with addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Dad and I got married. Mom and Dad, my parents, were really taking care of you and Jace for a while I was struggling. And then bam, we move out and Grandma is like the most compassionate. Like she would be like, you're so mean to those kids because I was trying to set these boundaries and change things. And it was tricky because she had been such a part of your life.
Yeah.
We moved to American Fork, which is about 30 minutes away from where my parents lived. And at that point too, my parents had a lot going on because their kids had become teenagers. They're young. I'm the oldest, so the younger kids, and they were dealing with all of that. Yeah. You started elementary school and I just remember, I was trying to be a good mom and figure it out. So I'd come and help in school and things like that. Started my own photography business, which was busy. And you always had this little determination. You're like, Mom, I want to do gymnastics, Mom. And you just would, whether it was school or anything else. And I can feel bad about that and think, okay, well, she's kind of like the adult child of an alcoholic, only it was drug addiction. Like she had to become so responsible, right? And there's times that I have felt that way. But at the same time, you were so responsible. All through high school, you became a head cheerleader. You were really good at gymnastics. And are you okay?
Yeah.
It's okay. No, talk about it.
I think just when you bring up, all the things that have like made me who I am today, like being independent, and determined. And like thinking about living in Grandma's home when we were little, when I was little, I just want you to know that as a little kid and like it's being a mom myself, I see how hard it would be as a mom in your situation when you were dealing with your addiction. But I want you to know as a little girl, I knew that you were struggling. Like even when I was 4, 5 years old, I knew. But I think growing up, all I wanted to do was make life easy for you and help you. And I think something clicked in my head where I knew if I wanted something, I wasn't going to have to do it myself. You helped me a lot with a lot of things, but if I wanted to be good at something, it was up to me. And I really felt for you with your addiction. And, I've always been really protective over you, and I've always been there wanted to be there for you the best I can when, you know, you were doing good with it and when you weren't doing so well with it. And yeah, so sorry, those memories just kind of brought up some emotions in me. But
that is a lot of responsibility for a kid to have to take on, to have to worry about if your mom's going to be okay and then take care of yourself. And I'm sorry that those years were so hard. Yeah, you're okay. I know you're okay. But I don't know. We haven't really talked about that a lot. So
yeah, probably the first time we've had like a real conversation about it.
We wrote letters. We wrote letters when I was in prison. But you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And it's kind of like with Dad, I'm like, what did I do to deserve such amazing kids and an amazing husband? So must have done something right. I'm still fighting to be worthy of that. But so there were years that I was sober and it was kind of building and things were going better. And then really important time in your life, your teenage years, I got involved in those real estate deals. And also my addiction came back around. Yeah. So your teenage years were pretty tough. And I have so much sorrow that I wasn't more supportive of you. I don't think that I had been just surviving. And then I got to prison and realized, oh my goodness, what a crappy mom I'd been. There were so many times that you needed me that I wasn't there. And I am so sorry.
Oh, well, I want you to know that I always thought you were a rock star. And though I knew what you were struggling, when you were struggling, there's no point in being resentful towards you now or back then. It's, for some reason, I've just, so, you know, I've always been very mature and I'm let you do your thing and however I can help you, but also be there for myself too. And I don't hold any resentment or negative feelings towards you.
I know you don't. And that's remarkable. You and Dad. I think, so I married Dad when you were 5 or 6.
5, yeah.
He adopted you. You've jumped up on his lap and said, I guess you're going to want to adopt me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he's been a real big part of your life. Stability and...
Yeah. Yeah. He's played ball with me growing up. I remember after work when I signed up for softball, he would, make me come home for my friends or have my friends go home and say, one day he said, I'm going to have you be pitcher. I'm going to ask your coach if you can be pitcher. And I was like, what? Like the star, kind of like the star of, in that moment when you're pitching in a softball game and everyone's eyes are on you. And he's like, yeah, let's go practice. And okay. Okay. And, taking me snowboarding. He's just always been that rock. Just, I don't want to wake up and go, no, we're going. I'm going to teach you. Yeah. And you guys are the best balance of each other because he's that solid rock. He's consistent. And, he's been awesome for me. Yeah.
So the teenage years were pretty rough. I was in denial. I'm not going to prison. I'm not going to go to prison. It's okay. And things just got worse financially. And at a certain point, you graduated high school, and that's a time where a kid needs their parents to help them kind of guide them. We weren't there for you. Like, you just figured it out. You went to college and went to school and paid for it and figured it out and had just decided at that point you'd had to be a lot through high school those years. Plus I had little kids. Yeah. So I'm like, Shelby, you need to watch this one and you need to help with that one.
Yeah. Do you remember the phone call where you called me and just kind of said, you have to figure it out financially? When I was in hair school, I had just moved out to Orem and something happened. My car insurance went up and I got a phone call. I was at Chili's with my friends and you called me and you just said, hey, yeah, you've got to take on all your bills, and like you guys were still paying for my phone. And I think you were helping me with rent when I moved out for hair school. And it was just,
sorry, we're done.
It was one night, I'm sorry, you got to take care of it. And I was like, okay. So I worked, at Gold's Gym from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. And then I go to hair school from 9 to 7. And I did that for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just did what I had to do. And yeah, I don't regret it. It was hard, but.
Yeah. I remember there were times when I was in prison and Dad would say, I just feel so bad that we can't do anything for our kids. And at this point, I'm like, that's probably the best thing that's happened to them. I'm like, I mean, it's hard, but at the same time, I'm like, our kids are growing up responsible, right?
Yeah.
But it could have been done a little different. Could have been done a little different. So,
yeah.
We had some rough kind of stuff going on there. I remember, the thing that I've always admired about you is that you're very vulnerable and humble. You get that from Dad, not me. And you just came to me and said, Mom, I really need your support. Like, it hurts me that I don't feel like I have it. And I remember that was heartbreaking for me. I was like, I am so sorry. I'll do better. And I've tried to. But there were, I want to jump into, so the FBI showed up at the house. There's this federal investigation. You're in high school. What was that like for you?
It was hard because I felt like our life just got turned upside down suddenly. I was really scared for the future, not only for myself, but for my siblings, just not having you around because you were financially, you took on pretty much everything at that time financially. And up until then, I don't know what was going on, but to me, things were really good financially. Yeah. And I was able to kind of get most of what I wanted I want to do cheer. I want to go on this weekend trip with my friends or anything you guys at that time could provide.
Right.
And so that made me nervous. But the biggest thing that I think gave me anxiety that would kind of keep me up at night was my 3 younger siblings. Just were they going to be okay? And that I think that stress carried on up until you got home. So that was like, that was a 10 plus year kind of like, I guess, weight on me, just worrying about them and how they're going to handle this. I always knew I would be okay, like emotionally. Obviously it was hard, and then my older brother, I knew he would be fine, but I really, really struggled worrying about my 3 younger siblings.
Yeah.
So that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, so much responsibility for you to carry.
Yeah, but you didn't ask me to, I respect that you didn't ask me specifically, hey, this is your job. I know you said, help Dad, but I think I took it on myself to just do what I could to help Dad during that time. 'Cause you were very stressed. What was it? Probably like 7 years by the time you told me to when you left. I think it was about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, it was a big chunk of time.
And so that was a huge stress because I felt like we went through ups and downs when you initially told us, I remember that moment and it felt like everything was going to be okay. You were very optimistic.
Yeah, it was very optimistic.
And so it was like, oh, this is going to be hard, but things are going to work out. Like this will be like a year, little stressor, but like will be fine.
We'll keep going. Yeah.
And a year, 2 years went by, 3 years, and it just kind of slowly got worse and more stressful and more stressful.
Yeah.
And
the kids kept growing up.
Yeah. And that
hard years.
I think the waves of it's going to be okay. No, it's not. It is that was hard on me emotionally.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was tough.
Really tough.
Yeah.
So fast forward, I walked into the federal courthouse. You were there. Mm-hmm. All the kids were there. What was that experience like for you?
That day was a relief. That day, it was hard, but I walked in being very optimistic. That day was a relief because it was we just finally had the answer.
Right.
Like I was so sick of that drawn out. Yeah. We didn't know exactly what was going to happen. And so that was so hard to hear your sentence. But that was a really hard day. But again, it was like, okay, now we can we needed that to be able to just put it in the past, and now we can move forward. Yeah. And so that my siblings, and obviously I think the baby, well, I guess she wasn't a baby. CJ, she was 5.
She was 7 at that point. She was your oldest son's age.
Yeah. So that, I think, obviously all 3 younger siblings, it was really hard, but that age was really, I think, hard for everybody to see because she just didn't really understand the concept of time, like how long you were going to be gone. And so that was really hard to re-explain to her all the time. And oh man, that was hard. Oh, I remember shortly after you left, we were at a family dinner at Shannon's, and I just had this feeling to go look for her. And I hope she's okay with me saying this. I think she will be. But I found her in the bathroom crying. And I tried to comfort her, but she just said, I want my mom. And I'm not their mom. And I knew that. And so I tried to comfort her the best I could. But so I think that was the hardest part for me, is seeing my siblings at different times.
Yeah.
Just really not understand that concept of how long you were going to be gone and if everything was going to be okay. And so, yeah, that was tough for me to see.
You really stepped in. Dad said he could have never done it without you. You basically were there every day doing the kids' hair and helping them any way you could, to the point where it became such a responsibility for you. You're trying to be married and build a life for yourself. And I want to say I'm sorry, and I want to say I'm grateful, and I want you to know how much I love you. And I can't really go back and undo it, but on my end, I felt so brokenhearted I couldn't breathe. There was also that finality in the sentence, and then there's no way to even explain what it will feel like to be separated from your kids. Like, you can't. I think I spent 6 months crying. Devastated, so brokenhearted, which wasn't helpful for you guys. But and very angry because I thought it was unfair. I couldn't imagine how I could. It just seemed like, are you kidding me? People kill people, and why are they doing this? It doesn't make sense. And yet I probably needed it. I had struggled so much with addiction. That wasn't helpful for you guys. And I think I probably needed it. But the loss of all of you, the goodness of being around you, the need to be a mother and feeling angry and hurt and and with CJ, all I could do is see her face over and over. So heartbreaking. So heartbreaking. That first year was devastating. I think I finally got to a place where I was so sick and tired of myself. I had cried myself out. I had been angry. And I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I have to start building something new. And that was a transition for all of us. When I started saying, okay, I'm here. I've got to do this time. And
it doesn't do us any good to, I think we need that morning time. We all needed that. But I'm really happy that you decided to, when you were ready, to pick yourself up and work on yourself. And I think the 3 younger siblings don't remember. So me and Jace grew up with a different version of you.
Correct.
Right. And so did the 3 younger siblings.
Right.
And just because the age gaps are so different, and you with the different phases of when you with your addiction and stuff. But I knew that you needed this. I knew that you needed to fully get sober. And so there was that comfort of, you're getting sober and you'll come back and be more emotionally there for all of us.
Right.
Because I knew that's something that you've always wanted, but your addiction held you back from that. And they didn't see what me and Jay saw growing up with your
when I was really struggling, when you guys were tiny. They didn't know me that way. Because Chad, honestly, he kept it together enough that the kids didn't see that low point that I was at when you guys were little. I wanted to ask you I placed a child for adoption after I had you, and we never talked about it. I basically nosedived after that and really jumped into the addiction, and then married Chad and just put it all behind me and started trying to build something. And we never talked about it.
Yeah.
Until I got to prison, and then I like opened up the floodgates.
Yeah.
But you had heard from family members, mom placed a child for adoption.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you never came to me with it either. It was just like.
Well, we only had like one real conversation about it. And that was right when I found out. That's when my cousin told me when I was like 8 or 9, around there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the way I found out, she just said, "Did you know you have a brother?" And I was like, "Yeah, Jesus. He's our brother." And she was like, "No, you have a brother named David that your mom gave up, or not placed for adoption."
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?" And so, yeah, I went to you that night and we went to dinner and just had a little conversation. And I'm sure it was hard for you how do you talk to a little 8-year-old about how that, And so
I did everything wrong. If I'm being honest, like I should have talked to everyone about everything, I did. Like I regret that I didn't know. You just don't know what you don't know. And I have compassion for myself and everybody involved. But all I knew was I had to power through and keep going. It was just too much pain to open up any of those boxes. And so I just didn't.
Yeah.
But then I got to prison and I had this time, and it was like my heart was so broken that I started opening it up and processing it. And the regret I felt for the way that I hadn't been there for you guys was so intense. I have a lot of compassion for women that hurt their kids. I know that most people think that's the worst thing ever, but I'm like, it's a reality and a pain that very few people it's deep. And anyway.
Yeah. You had a lot of things that you needed to work through that, us kids didn't understand.
Right.
And I'm really glad that you were able, it sucks that we lost time with you, but if that's what you needed in order to get healthy, then that's what we needed to do.
Yeah. You're amazing. We all grieved it. I know that. And then the hard part is I come home 5 years later and you're this amazing, responsible, get it done girl that has an awesome career, that's a fantastic mother and all of those things, great with your siblings. And I've got teenage kids. Sadie was 17. She was 12 when I left. That's a really hard age to be without your mom.
Yeah.
And she just looked at me and said, "Yeah, you didn't raise me. You're not my mom. I don't really care. I don't want you around," which is understandable. Yeah. Right. And I think the hardest conversation I ever had with Sadie was when she said, "I liked you better before."
Yeah. Yeah.
And she said, "And I'm sick and tired of you saying, you were so stuck in your addiction."
Yeah.
That she's like, "That you were my mom and I loved you then. So why do you have to keep saying how bad of a mom you were? That's my childhood. Don't take that from me." And I've changed my way of seeing that time now for that reason. But so having gone through all of this, how do you think it has shaped you or shaped? One of the things I want to jump into is that while I was in prison, I asked you to write me a letter telling me all the ways I hurt you. Right. And you did. Yeah. Did that help? Do you think?
Yeah, I do think that helped because we were, honestly, prior to prison, it was really hard to talk to you.
For sure. I was so defensive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for acknowledging that.
Yeah. I was just too scared to take a look at those things.
Yeah. So I feel like it was hard to have hard conversations with you. And so it was really nice when we started writing letters. We were closer than ever, and I was able to write out my feelings. And I think we were both able to read it and process it and write back. And I think our relationship grew, and that really helped a lot to write you that letter. So I'm really grateful that you asked me to write that.
Thanks for doing it. I appreciate you doing it. I was so scared to get it.
Really?
Oh yeah. Really? Because I just know Anyway, I love you and I'm so proud of you. And how's it been since I've gotten home? Now you have 2 little boys who are the most amazing kids on the planet. I adore. They are. And your family, I'm so proud of you and so grateful for the sacrifices that you made for the siblings and Dad. You're a real strength to Dad we always say, like, you are such a bright light in our family. We are so blessed to have you. Keep us together and so thoughtful. And I hope you know what a bright, shining star you are.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really proud of who you are, and I've always been proud of you. You are such a strong woman, and I just love and adore you. And I just want what's best for you. And this life is hard. Being a mom's hard. Being a kid is hard. And I think as a family, we're just here. You're not better than me, and I'm not better than you. We are here to support each other as parents, as kids, as friends. And yeah, I've just always wanted you to be your best self. And when that comes out, and I see that in you right now, and when that comes out, it's like nothing stops you. You're a beautiful light. And so when you tell me all the good things about me, I mean, that comes a lot from you too, not just Dad. So I love you.
I love you too. If you were to say like something to people, because I have a lot of listeners that have people that are in prison or that family members or whatever, how hard has it been to navigate? My mom went to prison, or what the world thinks, or what would you say to people that are going through this?
I would say to not lose yourself. I would say keep focusing on yourself, and the best thing you can do is to support your family member or friend or whoever the person you love is there in prison, to just always be optimistic for them. And the best thing you can do is take care of yourself and hope that others see your example. And yeah.
Well, you're amazing. I know you have a fun activity with the boys this morning, so I'm going to make you come back and do it again.
I know. Yeah, I know. I feel like we have a lot more to talk about. So
yeah, we do.
We'll have to come back.
Thank you for coming in. Love you so much.
I love you too.